Hi everyone! So since we are heading into summer now, I thought today would be a good day to give you guys a little bit of a spring growth update because a lot of my plants have really taken off over the last few months. Now, normally I would bring all the plants out here and just show them to you all sitting here, but some of them are so big I'm not going to be able to get them on camera, and also I started putting some plants on the floor and Theo thought, oh, those must be for me to play with because I'm sitting where we usually do his playtime. So we're going to have to be a little bit strategic about how we deal with showing you the plants today, but we're going to get through it. But the first plant I want to show you, I think has grown the most for me, or most noticeably for me, is what is commonly referred to as the parallel Peperomia. And I absolutely love this plant. Now, a lot of people buy these or see these in the stores and they're small, they're looking more upright, kind of like how this little vine is looking here. And so a lot of people think that this is an upright Peperomia, but it's not. It's a trailing Peperomia, as you can see, especially over here with this one very long vine. And interestingly enough, you guys, this is one of the newest vines right here, and it is one of the longest. So that's what I'm saying about, I feel like this one has really taken off in the last few months. I haven't changed anything. It's still been living behind my couch directly in a southern facing window. I haven't like increased fertilization or anything like that. It's been getting fertilized like once a month. I let it pretty much dry all the way out between waterings. And for whatever reason, in the last few months, it just decided to really take off. I have had this plant, I think, for almost a year now. And when I bought this one, it was a small looking upright type plant, but here we are now. Now, we did propagate this one together at one point, and I think we only took off like maybe this much off of one of the vines. I don't even know which one it was now. And other than that, this is all just new growth that's happened in the entire time that I have owned this plant. Now, another thing that's kind of fascinating me with this is that the last few vines that have pushed out have been so thick stemmed. I don't know if you guys can see how thick the stems are here compared to these thinner ones back here. And when those started coming out that thick, I actually thought they would stay more upright longer, but once again, no, they're starting to trail. Now, like I said, still been living behind the couch in the living room, but because it is starting to sprawl out and take up all the space, I might have to figure out a new location for this one. Also, Theo likes to lay next to it and then kind of give me this look, which says, I don't know what this says. I feel like he's trying to say, nope, I'm not going to bite it. I swear I'm not going to bite it, but I don't trust that he's not going to bite it. And I will tell you guys why when we look at a different plant here in a bit. But yes, super impressed with this plant. I also think it's starting to get a little bit root bound. Let me slip it out of its pot, cover pot. I don't know, I just watered it and it's got fine roots, so it's not going to be easy to tell. But the roots are kind of spreading all the way around in the pot. Once again, I just watered it. When we have fine roots like this, it's kind of hard to see them, but I actually think it's probably okay for a while. Peperomias really do kind of like to get root bound, and in my experience, they really don't like to be repotted, period. They typically throw a little bit of a fit for me after I repot them, but super impressed with that plant. So another plant that has been impressing me that I did already bring out here is my Hoya krohniana super silver splash. I'll flash up on screen which one it is, but this is the plant that I bought when I did the Nicholson Hardy store tour for you guys. It was just a little baby. I did repot it right away because, as with most Hoyas that I'm seeing nowadays, it was not in the right soil type. And once I repotted it, the roots really started kind of taking off. But then I actually had kind of an issue with this plant and I was getting a lot of leaf loss. I think I lost 1 or 2 whole vines, it looks like. And I was really nervous. And so I did have this, originally it was in the east facing door in my kitchen. I then moved it to behind the couch in the southern facing windows, and it's now in the east facing window in my bedroom. And since I put it in that east facing window in my bedroom a couple of months ago, it has really started to take off. So all of this lighter green coloring you're seeing over here, this is all new growth. This is actually a completely new vine that is shot off over here. There's also this little bit down here that is a little bit brighter green, smaller leaves. That's a whole new vine that's been shooting up from the soil. This is all new growth over here as well. So very impressed with this plant. I know it looks like it's not grown much at all probably to you guys, but I'll try and find a picture of when I first got it so you guys can see. And let's look at the roots because I feel like they've been spreading pretty well. So you can see down in here, come on camera. You see down in here, all of these like white roots are starting to spread around. Now, what is impressing me the most about this is typically you don't get growth like this much new growth on a Hoya when it's still trying to spread its roots like that. Usually Hoyas want to establish their roots first, and then they'll start to push out a ton of new growth. So I'm kind of impressed with this one in that regard. I will say though, like my Hoya curtisii is kind of a similar growth pattern, size of leaf, that kind of thing, Hoya to this. And I found that that one really pumped out growth more quickly, even though it hadn't established its roots yet compared to some of my other Hoyas. I mean, my linearis, once again, also smaller leaves. I think that's it. Like, I feel like the smaller leafed the Hoya is, the more quickly it will start to put out new growth, even if it hasn't fully developed its root system, versus the larger leaf Hoyas, I feel like really want to get that established root structure first before they start to push out a ton of new growth. But that's just my personal experience. Still, I'm super impressed with this. I am going to leave it in that east-facing window in my bedroom since it seems to be happy there, and we will see how it does over the summer months and if we get even more rapid growth since we're going to have longer daylight hours. But super impressed. Okay, let me go swap these out for our next few plants. I'm happy to announce that Theo has apparently decided to take a nap on the couch, which is going to make this a lot easier. Okay, so the next plant that I actually want to show you, I'm sitting here looking at it. I am not sure I'm going to be able to get it all the way on screen for you. We will see how well we can do. I might need to just scoot back up. But this plant, I mean, I've told you guys before when we've repotted this plant together. I think that might have been the last time you guys saw it, but it has just been growing like mad for me ever since I got it. I will go back and look and check when I first got this plant and flash it up on screen for you. If I can find a picture, I should have a picture when I first got it. I'll flash it up for you as well. But since we repotted it, and I'm pretty sure we repotted it right before spring started, it has just continued to grow. It has gotten leaves that are massively larger than before. I'm going to show it to you now. This is my Calathea warscewiczii. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. I just watered this earlier. I don't know what I was thinking. It's so much heavier now. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna try and pick it up by its tray underneath it. Okay, I am just so impressed with this plant. Can you even see the whole thing? I don't know if you can see the whole thing. It has gotten massive, 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 massive. It is beautiful. We pretty much have had no crispy bits other than when I was dealing with everything with Toby. I went a little bit too long in between watering on this. It did get a little bit of crisping on the edge. I don't know if you guys are even going to be able to tell. There's like, you can see a little bit of yellow brown on the edges. That was just because, once again, I went a little bit too long between waterings. But other than that, this plant is looking gorgeous. Now, if you'll remember, it did flower back in January at the very beginning of the year. And these taller stems here are where the flowers were. I did remove the flowers, and I had decided I didn't want to remove these because it was still putting out beautiful leaves. So I've left those there. But when we repotted this, it was really obvious that these were way taller. And as you can see now, all the other new leaves from the base have gotten so filled in and are coming in so large that it's not even weird looking anymore with these still being on here. Now, if you had wanted to cut those off, you could have, no big deal, but I kind of suspected that eventually it would fill in like this and look okay. But let me see if this is, okay. Oh God, it's so heavy, you guys. This is the newest leaf that came in. Look at the size of this leaf. Look how massive that is. It is so long, and these other new leaves that are coming in around it, forget the other ones over, the other ones back here, you're not gonna be able to see it, but all of the new leaves are coming in this size. It's like the size of my forearm, perhaps even longer. So impressed with this plant. It really did not skip a beat when we repotted it. I have still had a few yellowing leaves that have been lost, probably due to me going a little too long in between waterings. Hi, Theo. It's not for you. It's not for you. No, I thought you were taking a nap. Okay, you can hang out with us, just don't mess with the plant. All right, so yes, a few yellowing leaves. I actually did just remove one when I was watering it earlier, but once again, for every leaf it loses, it puts out like 2 to 3 new leaves at the same time. Super, super impressed with this plant. It is still living on my dresser in my bedroom, which is pretty far back from my southern facing windows, and it's done fine with it. And it's gotten direct light, but I think it's just far enough away from those windows that even though it's getting direct light, it's not as intense or hard, so it hasn't caused any issues. But I can't wait to see what this plant is gonna look like at the end of the summer. Let me set him back down. Okay, so the next plant I want to talk about is actually my Monstera deliciosa back here. And some of you guys have even been commenting in recent videos where you've seen it that it's looking crazy big and has grown so much and been asking what I've been feeding it. Honestly, I've been feeding it the same thing I feed every plant in my household. It is getting fertilized about once a month right now with my Bonide 10-10-10 fertilizer. I do have the link to my Amazon storefront in the description down below for you if you guys want to check that out and get some for yourself. But yeah, it's been growing like mad, and honestly, I attribute the increase in growth to the Soltech pendant light that I installed above it. I think that has made a massive, massive difference. I cannot tell you how much I have really been impressed with Soltech's lights. The one that is over my mantle is obviously doing well, and I'll actually show you the plowmanii here in a bit. It hasn't gotten a bunch of new growth yet because it still needed to kind of establish its roots, but ever since I put it up there with that Soltech light, so many more roots have been developing in that pot. So I'll show that to you in a bit, but highly, highly recommend the Soltech lights, you guys. And don't forget, if you are interested in checking out Soltech lights for yourself, you can use my code ALOHA at checkout to get 15% off. But yes, this plant has grown like mad. As you can see, tons of new growth has been coming in. I have had to put some supports in here to help keep these vines up because we were starting to want to hit the ground. And honestly, you guys, just a reminder, there are 9 vines in that pot. It's kind of an excessive number. When it was young, I liked it because it made it look fuller, but now, I mean, it's eventually going to get out of control. So at some point, possibly even in the near future, we may need to break this plant up and separate out some of those vines, but we'll see. I have never propagated this plant either. I've had it, you guys, I am struggling to remember how long I have had plants today. I think it's been about 1.5 years now, if I'm incorrect. You know me, I'll flash it up on screen for you. So that's basically just all the growth from 1.5 years of having this plant. It has been living in that spot the entire time that I've had it, and it only has had that Soltech light since January. So obviously it's done really well, even though it is way far back from my southern facing windows. Last summer though, I did during the day move it into the north facing windows directly into front of them during the day because I don't get as much light coming through these southern facing windows. But now that I have that Soltech light, I'm not gonna have to do that. Super impressed with that plant though. So let's see. Next, I think I want to show you some of the vining plants that have really taken off and have started to kind of, not branch, that's not the word I want, vine out on their own. I had mentioned that in a past video that I was starting to see new vines spontaneously kicking off on a lot of like my philodendrons and also on my epiprimnums. And one of the plants that is really caught my eye recently is my Philodendron cordatum, which is hanging in my bathroom. So let me go grab that real quick because I was going to try to film it in place for you guys, but the lighting there is really difficult. So one second. Okay, so beautiful, long, luscious, definitely needs a trim again soon because it is starting to grow down into the maranta again as well. But what I'm talking about with all the new vine growth is what you're seeing going on up here. So this is where it is decided to kick off a new vine all on its own. It's not from any place where I had previously propagated it, but it is pushing out this very thick, by the way, way thicker than the other vines. I'm trying to see so hard with the macrame hangers. I love how they look, but they're kind of a pain in the ass to deal with. I don't know if y'all can see like how thick that vine is compared to some of these other vines. If I can get it untangled enough to show you. Definitely thicker vines coming in up here where it's just spontaneously vining. And all those spots on all of my vining plants where they're spontaneously vining like this are growing like straight up. They're not even growing out, they're just going straight up. So very impressed with this new growth that's kicking off on this one. Once again, still in my east facing window in my bathroom. It has lived there in its entire life. I've had it for almost 2 years now. A little over 2 years now, like 2 years, 1 month. But absolutely loves life in that window. Now I'm going to trade this one out real quick for my Philodendron micans. Okay, so here is my beautiful, very, very long Philodendron micans. Now I am probably going to have to trim this one soon because it is this one vine, longest vine, getting long enough to be within swatting reach of Theo, and he's been pretty good with the vining plants so far. But how we have this one now, because we did recently move it to the mantle from behind my couch when I plant styled my mantle after I installed that Soltech light up there. It's kind of like, it's dangling further away from a wall, and I just feel like it's gonna make him think more like it's a toy, so we're probably gonna have to trim this one long vine. But as you can see up here at the top, it has started to push out its own new vines of its own accord, not from anywhere that I cut or anything like that, and it is sticking almost straight up, just like you saw on that cordatum a second ago. So I'm really happy though that this one is filling out. This one I'm thinking might need to be repotted here soon. I'm actually kind of shocked that it hasn't had to be repotted again yet. When did I last? I don't know. I feel like it's been like a year and a half since I repotted this, but it is doing wonderful. I will say we did lose quite a few leaves because once again, I didn't have any casualties. Well, except for the import plants that I told you guys about that I dry rotted when Toby got sick. But all of my regular plants, there were no casualties, but I did mention that some of them I went a little bit too long between waterings. This was one of them. So we lost like, I don't know, 5 or 8 leaves, got really, really yellow before I realized it and watered it. But this plant is pretty resilient. It comes back pretty quick. It hasn't really skipped a beat. I was kind of concerned about how it was going to adjust to living on the mantle versus living on the wall behind the couch, because he gets massive, like nice sunlight coming through there. And I was like, are you gonna throw a fit because I'm giving you artificial light now? But once again, no, because I mean, just look at this. This popped up since we put this up on the mantle. So very, very impressed with this plant. Once again, all the plants I'm showing you guys today, fertilizing with that Bonide 1010 and liquid fertilizer once a month, and that's it. All doing fabulous. So I'm going to put this plant back and I'm going to show you our next plant. And I made an interesting discovery when I went to grab this plant and I'm not happy about it. I'll explain in a second. Okay, so the next plant I'm about to show you is my Rhaphidophora tetrasperma. Now we did take all of my cuttings of this plant and pot them together into this one pot and gave it a pull. I'll flash up on screen when it was that we did that. It did get so tall recently that I needed to extend its pull. However, the girl that was making the pulls is taking a break, so her Etsy shop has been closed. I kept waiting for her to reopen it, and I really should go check and see if she's reopened it or not. But it was getting so tall, I ended up cutting it off. So I have taken recently, I guess, almost like 1.5 feet off the top of this. But the discovery I made has made me a little bit mad. Let me show you the plant first. I'm gonna have to back up again, I think. Ooh, okay. So here is the beautiful Rhaphidophora tetrasperma. I don't know if you can even see the top of it. Let me go further back. Oh, can you see? You still can't even see. Okay, there's a little bit more up top here. I'll splice in some other footage from a distance for you guys so you can see. And all of that new growth, about 1 foot at the top here, is from where I cut it before, like I was just saying, because I couldn't get a pole extension. It has been growing like mad. All of the vines have been growing very well. Obviously, these ones on the front here were the biggest ones. I'm trying to rotate it around here for you guys. And then we had some of the babier vines were in the back, but they're really taking off as well down here. We lift it up again, it's so heavy. They are taking off, it's starting to fill in all the way around, but let me get back closer, you guys. Do you see what I see on those leaves in the front right there? You see how it looks like it's been chewed? Because it has been chewed. 3 of the leaves over here have been chewed off. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Theo. I don't know when this happened. Well, I just watered this plant a few days ago and definitely the leaves were all intact. So this has probably happened in the last few days. My guess is that it's happened at night because honestly, you guys, he's done pretty well. I do have to tell him, I set this down, it's so heavy. I do have to tell him pretty regularly, like, don't mess with the plants. Maybe I don't need to, but when he gets on the back of the couch and he just wants to look out the window, but you know, his face is like touching the plants and I'm like, are we gonna chew on them? Like, so I'll be like, just don't mess with the plants, don't mess with the plants. And if he looks like he's gonna go for them, I'll move him off the back of the couch. I have noticed though that he tends to go stick his face in plants in my bedroom, which is where this plant has currently been living. Just a reminder, I was gonna move it upstairs, but I couldn't find a plant stand I liked for up there, and then I lost my job and was like, I shouldn't be spending money on a plant stand. So it's actually been living next to my dresser in front of my west-facing window in my bedroom. It's done fabulously there. Before that, it was behind the couch in the southern-facing window. So Either way, it loves those spots. However, back to the Theo story. Sorry, you guys. I feel a little bit all over the place. This is the first kind of, as you know, non-vlog video that I have filmed since losing Toby. I'm trying to get back in the swing of things, so bear with me. But yes, I have found that at night, and more specifically kind of early in the morning, is when he goes and kind of starts putting his face in the plants in the bedroom. And I'm starting to think he's doing it to try to get my attention, to wake me up because he wants food. That's kind of what I think is happening. Now, unfortunately, I don't want to get up when he does this and go give him food because I'm just reinforcing the behavior. If he chews on a plant and then gets food, every time he wants food, he's gonna go chew on a plant. So I'm trying to like just tell him, no, we don't do that. Get him off of it, get him doing something else. And then once he's off doing something else for a while, then I'll get up and I'll go give him food because once again, just don't want to reinforce that behavior. So I did just go look and check on the other plants because I mentioned Maria was the first one he tried to chomp down on, which is right across on the other side of that door from the Rhaphidophora tetrasperma. Maria has no bite marks. None of the other plants seem to have bite marks in the bedroom. I think also at night, because this plant and Maria are the only ones on the floor, I think what I'm going to end up doing is moving them into my bathroom at night for now, so that way he doesn't have access to them. Because also, obviously, I must have been asleep when he was chewing on this, and I didn't hear him chewing on it. You know, it's not like a sound that woke me up, and I'm a light sleeper, you guys. Almost everything wakes me up. So I think I'm going to have to move them for now. Oh, and my Hilo Beauty is also on the floor, so they're not there to be tempted. But I also discovered he has chewed down on a few of the leaves on my schismatoglottis that's in the dining room. And I caught him doing that one. And I was upstairs trying to email someone. I don't even know why he was down there doing it. And unfortunately, these are both toxic plants. It's not good for him. He has not gotten sick though. There's a very minor amount. I mean, it's like the tip of 3 leaves on here. I mean, we're saying it's like maybe a not even a tablespoon, a teaspoon of, not even a teaspoon, like if you put them together in a line, it would be about this long and about this wide of leaf. So, and like I said, it had to have happened either last night or the night before. He's not been sick. He hasn't been acting funny. You know, it obviously has not really upset his stomach because it was probably just such a small amount. But still, I'm not happy about it. Obviously, I'm not happy about it. But I am happy about how much growth this plant has been putting out and super impressed with it. And hopefully I can get a pole extension for it soon. Oh, I just can't believe that he chewed on these. Anyways, I'm going off topic. We're supposed to be talking about spring growth updates, not Theo eating plant updates. So our next plant I want to take a look at, actually, I just realized, is on the coffee table right next to me. So this is my beautiful Pinstripe Calathea. And this plant, oh my gosh, you guys, has been doing so fabulously. It has put out a bunch of new leaves and they are ginormous compared to the other leaves. If you follow me on Instagram or Facebook at Aloha Plant Life, you will have seen when I posted about these leaves coming in. This leaf is larger than my hands, you guys. The biggest leaves before that were maybe like this one right here, which is not anywhere near the size of these new ones at the top. It has done wonderfully. We do have one old leaf that's getting ready to die off down here. And also, you guys, a lot of you have talked to me about being concerned if your prayer plants aren't actually praying, if the leaves aren't moving up and down. Sometimes if a leaf is getting ready to die off, it will stop praying. So for example, at night right now, these leaves, all that are healthy up here, go straight up. I'm not even joking, guys, straight up. However, this leaf that is not doing well and getting ready to die off stays pointing down like this. This one no longer moves with the light. All of these still do. So sometimes if like 1 or 2 or however many of your leaves stop moving, it might just be because those leaves are getting ready to die off. In general, if it's not praying, like the whole plant could be a sign that something's wrong. However, I have found that when I repot my prayer plants, in general, like, I mean, Marantas, Calatheas, it doesn't matter what kind of prayer plant, family plant it is, I do find that they go through a bit of a spell where they don't pray because I think they're just in shock and trying to get adjusted to having been repotted. So if you have done something like that to your plant recently and you notice it's not praying, it's probably just trying to get acclimated to being in that new pot or recovering from whatever it is that you did to it. But this plant has been impressing me so much, especially considering the rocky start we had with spider mites and everything. The first year I had it and not being able to find a place that was really happy. It is, like I said, still here in the center of my coffee table. It loves it there. I am not moving it again because if it's going to produce nice, big, giant leaves like this in that spot, That's clearly where it wants to live. Now, once again, fertilizing once a month. Don't let this one dry out. Definitely do not let this one dry out. Did get a little bit dry during the whole Toby thing, but that's okay. We did lose like 2 leaves during that time, and now obviously we're gonna lose this one. But that's okay because it's still been pumping out a bunch of new growth. So let me put this girl back, and then I'm going to grab another plant from the kitchen. All right, this is another one where I'm probably gonna have to scoot back, but this is my Philodendron Splendid that I'm about to show you. So you guys know I did get this in January in that first Aroid Asia shipment that they sent me of free plants, and I am just in love with this plant, and it has grown so much. So let me scoot back and see if I can get it all the way on screen for you. Might be a little bit difficult. Woo. Maybe I should grab the pole while I'm doing that. Might be a little bit difficult because it has gotten super duper tall. Every time it puts out a new leaf, it starts to put out another leaf immediately behind that one. I will say this newest leaf that's coming in, let me see if I can angle it. Let me take it out of its cover pot so it's not wobbling around so much. There's something weird going on in this new leaf. If Wild Fern is watching this video, I know you have a beautiful Splendid as well and are absolutely in love with it. Let me know if you've ever experienced this before. Oh, if I can get this up here for you guys to see. And I did turn on Product Showcase. I don't usually use it on my camera, you guys, because I am a hand gesturer in case you haven't noticed. And when I gesture with my hands like this and I have Product Showcase on, it tends to defocus my face and focus on my hand. But it does help with focusing better on the plants for you when I put them up here. But you see how the tip of that's like white? I said it helps, and now it's just gonna be weird about it. This is so hard to hold right now. All right, you'll see how that's white and it kind of got a little bit of brown around it. I'm not sure what's causing that. And then there's something that looks gooey, like a gooey orange dot. Kind of like sap, but orange. I don't know what would have caused this. Unless someone, looking at you again, Theo. You know what? This might be a situation where maybe he chomped down on it, but I'm not sure. It might have just been something else. Hopefully he didn't try to chomp down on that one. It's actually kind of high. I'm not sure how he would have gotten to it, but other than that, absolutely adore this plant. It is doing fabulous. It is still living just kind of on the floor by my kitchen table. So it's getting most of its light from the southeast facing window in the kitchen and a little bit from that east facing door. I do need to find somewhere better to put it. However, I did discover something else interesting with this plant when I brought Theo home. This pole, which is obviously brown core pole, the one on the Rhaphidophora is green, and so I think he hasn't messed with that pole because it's green, but this is a very similar texture. It is also the exact same color as a lot of cat scratching posts, including the one on his new perch that I got him. So I have caught him a couple times trying to scratch at this pole like it was a scratching post. Obviously, it's pretty easy for him to do that on the back side of this one because there is no part of the plant growing back there. So I have had to strategically kind of position this in a way that he can't get to it because he almost toppled the plant over, I think this was about a week ago today. Ooh. Hold on, you guys. I see webs, I think. Okay, definitely spider web, but not spider mite webbing. That was just a regular spider webbing. It's just kind of hanging off there now. I wish it would be like visible for you guys on camera. So once again, you guys have asked me this before regarding spider mites. How do you know if it's webbing from a spider mite versus an actual spider? Spider mites tend to do webbing that covers, like, I mean, a solid cover of webbing around a leaf, versus if you have like that was attached at the top and on the side and it wasn't actually touching the leaf in between, it was just a long piece, 2 long pieces of webbing. That's more the kind of webbing you see from just a regular house spider. But of course, anytime you see webbing, it's going to make you nervous, like it just made me nervous. This plant has been getting the beneficial bugs though, so odds of it having spider mites also should be pretty low. Once again, I am going to try to record the beneficial bugs video for you guys this week. Keep telling myself I am mentally ready to do it, so I'm going to try and get that done for you. But definitely impressed with this Splendid. Let's see, who was I going to show? Else was I going to show you? Let me, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to bring her. Okay, let me go grab Ginger and see if we can get her on screen. I mean, can't stop, won't stop growing Ginger. All right, you guys, hopefully she is fully on camera. Hopefully you can still hear me because she's kind of blocking the mic, but she has just gotten even more massive than the last time that I showed her to you guys. She is big, she is beautiful, I love her. She is pumping out a ton of new growth. She did suffer a little bit from me not being consistent when Toby was sick. We did get quite a few crispy leaf tips and we did lose a few leaves, but she's still just pushing out a ton of new growth. No, most of the new leaves that are coming right now are pretty far down in there, so I'm not sure how well you're gonna be able to see them, but she has definitely filled in a lot. I'm actually thinking I probably need to slip her out of this pot at some point soon and see how root bound we are. And at some point we may need to divide her because, I mean, she's just massive and I don't know if I'm gonna have a big enough pot to put her into if I don't divide her. And I can see very distinctly in here, flip her around the backside, the various clusters. So you can see there's different clusters of where the plant is growing. Those clusters are easy to separate when repotting and just pot them up as their own plant. And then that helps to keep this mama plant at a bit more manageable size. But I don't know if that's what I'm gonna do for sure yet or not. But I am just so impressed with her. She has still been living in the north-facing window in my dining room. She loves it there. I love how variegated this newest leaf. You'll see that. Look how beautifully variegated that leaf is. It's gorgeous. Love it. So yeah, she loves it there. She gets fertilized once a month minimum like everybody else. Honestly, lately, you guys, it's always just been once a month. I've been a little bit, I don't know, not lazy. I don't know, more like upset, sad. So not really staying on top of things. Normally this time of year, I go to doing like fertilization every 2 weeks, but like I said, not been in the best mental state. So we've been getting once a month. Always make sure that this one stays a little bit moist. She does get a little bit fussy. Like I said, if I go too long between waterings, we will get crispy leaf tips going on and we might lose a few leaves. We do have a few that look like they're still kind of yellowing from that whole incident. But all in all, she is doing fabulously. I love her so much. I don't think I mentioned, I call her Ginger because she is commonly referred to as a tricolor ginger plant, but this is scientifically a Stromanthe triostar. And just gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Always impressed with her. All right, put her back. Who is it I'm forgetting? I'm gonna put her back and I'm gonna check my list because I am forgetting somebody that I wanted to show you guys and I can't for the life of me remember who it was. Okay, so as soon as I checked my list, you guys, I was like, duh, Drea, how could you not remember that? The little rattlesnake plant that could. So this is the plant that in one of my earliest videos called Is It Really Dead? About not chucking your plants out just because you see they lose all their leaves and you think that it's a goner. This plant has made a fabulous comeback. This is the fullest I think it's looked since you guys have seen it. This is about what it looked like when I originally first got it before, well, for those of you who don't know the story or don't recall, it was severely underwatered when I got it. I knew it was underwatered, but I didn't realize it was that underwatered. Basically, it kind of got a little bit of dry rot. And by the way, I am preparing to record a video for you guys. Actually, might do it today after this one, about the difference between what we normally talk about, root rot caused by overwatering, and what dry rot is. So that will be coming your way here soon. So I think this plant might have gotten a little bit of dry rot. It did finally come back. I did go a little bit too long between waterings when Toby was sick, but we have managed okay. We lost a few leaves due to that. We got a little bit of funkiness going on this leaf when that happened. But all in all, it's doing pretty good, and so good, you guys, that I actually think we are going to need to repot it soon because I noticed, and you're not gonna be able to see it if I try to show you, but I noticed that the soil in the bottom, there's now a gap between the soil and the bottom of the pot that's about like this wide. And that is because its roots and its tubers are starting to get so large down in there that they're pushing the plant up towards the top of the pot. So this happened with my Calathea Freddy as well. I started walking into the bedroom and finding soil on the floor and I was like, what is going on? His tubers and roots were getting so massive in the bottom of the pot, it was pushing him up out of the pot and the soil was falling off onto the floor. We are not pushed that high up on this guy yet, but if I don't get it repotted soon, it will start to do that. So we'll probably be doing that in a future video. I'm realizing like I haven't done a lot of repotting, honestly, you guys, that I probably needed to do back in the beginning of spring, but we probably have quite a few plants that need to be repotted, so we will probably be doing a repot and chat video sometime here in the near future. But once again, very impressed with this plant, and this is why we do not throw plants away, especially rhizome-based plants such as Calatheas like this one. Definitely just let them be. They can and will come back. Okay, you guys, real quick before I forget, because I almost did forget, let me grab the plowmanii because I said I was going to show you guys how much the roots have been spreading around since I put it on the mantle. Okay, so we have not pushed out a new leaf from our growth point yet, but once again, I think that's because we are still just working on spreading our roots. So hopefully you guys can see all of the roots starting to spread around in there. Once again, I did just water this plant, makes it a little bit harder to see them, but it's definitely spreading them a lot, especially on that side. And then kind of in the corner over there. And then we do have a little bit of root growth spreading around on this side as well. Now, just a reminder, this pot, there's a lot of excess soil on this side. So all of the roots were from here to here originally. So that is why we're seeing kind of more root growth going on that side than on the other. But I'm really impressed with how much it is starting to push around in here. And so as soon as it gets those roots a little bit more established, I should start to see a new leaf pushing out. Now, I do still have the second one that came with this one in that Aroid Asia order. Nobody has wanted to buy it yet for some reason, and it is now pushing out its first new leaf. So I'm pretty sure we are not too far away from this one pushing out its next leaf, but super excited to see when that happens. And of course, I will let you know and show you when it does. But that's all I've got for you guys today. I hope you have enjoyed getting to look at my plants that have had amazing spring growth. I would love to hear about what plants of yours had the best spring growth. Comment down below and let me know. And if you have enjoyed this video, please be sure to click that like and/or subscribe button. And I look forward to seeing you guys again next time. Aloha!